Hello, I'm Dr. Nancy, a wellness educator focused on men's health and longevity. Today, I want to talk to you about a habit that looks incredibly healthy on the surface, a habit most men over 50 actually try to cultivate with good intentions, and yet it quietly sabotages prostate comfort, sleep, energy, and confidence. It's the habit of late evening hydration, going to bed well-watered, keeping a big bottle on the nightstand, and taking generous sips after dinner, because hydration is always good. Hydration matters, absolutely, but timing matters just as much. And for the prostate, the bladder, and the pelvic floor of men in midlife and beyond, the evening window is where many of your frustrations begin. I want you to listen to this with the same openness you bring to the gym or to your finances. Small changes in the right place have a big return. You don't need another complicated protocol. You need to understand how your body handles fluids, how circadian rhythms direct the kidneys and the bladder, and how a simple shift out of the late-night water routine restores calm to your nights and ease to your lower abdomen. When you apply the fix, you'll notice something that men describe the same way all over the world. Less urgency before bed, fewer awakenings, easier flow when you need to go, and the kind of steady confidence that only comes from a rested body. That's the goal. Let's name the pattern first, because clarity matters. Many health messages say, drink more water, and for good reason. But they leave out two vital details: front-loading and tapering. Front-loading means you take most of your fluids earlier in the day when the kidneys and the hormones that regulate fluid balance are primed to handle them without disturbing sleep. Tapering means you gradually reduce intake through the late afternoon and evening, so your bladder is not on high alert when it's time to rest. Men who keep a tall glass by the bed and finish it at 9 or 10 p.m. almost always report the same outcomes. They feel pressure in the lower pelvis right when the body is trying to wind down. They worry about whether they'll make it through a TV episode without interruption. They wake up once or twice, or more, at night, and they climb back into bed with a lighter bladder but a busier brain. The next morning, they're tired, a little irritable, and the cycle repeats. No, your age is not the villain. The timing is. Why does timing matter so much after 50? Two reasons live at the core of this. First, sleep architecture changes with age. It's normal to spend a bit more time in lighter stages of sleep, which makes you more likely to wake to signals that you might have slept through at 30. Second, the tissues that support the bladder outlet and prostate, the pelvic floor, the smooth muscle around the urethra, the subtle network of nerves, respond dynamically to stress, posture, and fluid load. At night, when you lie down and your circulation redistributes, the kidneys filter efficiently and the bladder fills more steadily. If you've added a late surge of fluids, the system tips from calm to fidgety. You feel pressure, not pain, urgency, not emergency. But the mind hears urgency and tightens everything. Your pelvic floor clamps down, you hesitate, you push, and the whole experience feels older than you are. The mistake most men make is trying to fix this with bracing and willpower. They tighten the abdomen, power through the discomfort, or double down on evening hydration discipline. Then they lose patience and start ignoring thirst altogether. Neither extreme helps. The solution is elegant, boring, and effective. Move the bulk of your fluids to earlier hours and build a short, consistent evening routine that calms your nervous system and teaches your pelvis to let go. Let's make this extremely practical. In the first half of the day, become strategic. As soon as you wake, drink a full glass of water. Add a second glass within 2 hours. Have a third with or after lunch. If you enjoy tea or coffee in the morning, keep it reasonable and understand that caffeine has a diuretic effect and can irritate the bladder in some men. If you like sparkling water, enjoy it earlier rather than late. This is front-loading. You give your body what it needs while the sun is up, and your kidneys are happy to cooperate. In the afternoon, you stay sensible. Sip when you're thirsty, drink with a snack, but you no longer chase a hydration quota. Then 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, you taper. That means you stop the casual sipping and you save any necessary fluid for small, mindful sips. If dinner is late or salty, you still keep the taper. The payoff comes quickly. Your bladder stops sending alarm signals right when your head hits the pillow, and your nights become quieter. Some of you are thinking, but I get thirsty at night. Often that thirst is habit, not a true signal. It's tied to mouth breathing, heated rooms, and the ritual of having something to sip while you wind down. Fix the root causes with gentle steps. Breathe through your nose as much as possible. Keep your room cool. Use a humidifier if air is dry. Have a small sip to wet your mouth if necessary, then stop. If you're on medications that require evening fluids, you follow your prescriber's directions and compensate by front-loading the rest of your day. This is not about rigid rules, it's about cooperative timing. Now, let's talk about the prostate and why this habit matters to that small gland with a big influence. The prostate sits just below the bladder and wraps around the urethra like a ring. When the bladder is irritated, overfilled late, or asked to wake repeatedly, the entire zone, bladder neck, prostate tissue, pelvic floor, tends to live in a state of overattention. Overattention means the nerves and muscles are constantly checking, tightening, and anticipating. A man in that state often reports two things. He feels he has to go urgently, even with a small volume. And when he tries to start, he hesitates or dribbles before the stream steadies. He wonders if the prostate is failing. In many cases, the tissues are simply tense and the timing is unhelpful. Change the timing, change the tension. If you've ever tried to start a garden hose with a kink near the spigot, you know the sensation. Pressure builds before flow begins. Your body is not a garden hose, but the analogy captures the feeling men describe at midnight: pressure without ease. The fix is not to push harder. The fix is to remove the kink by teaching the pelvic floor to relax and by not flooding the system late when signals are loudest. That's why you'll see immediate benefit in two places once you change the habit. Before bed, the urgency quiets, and in the last hours of the night. The awakenings reduce, or you return to sleep more easily after a single trip. I also want you to know this. Your lower urinary tract is a team sport. The bladder, the prostate, and the pelvic floor talk to each other, and they talk to your brain. If your brain learns that evenings mean constant interrupted rest and frantic trips, it becomes hypervigilant. Hypervigilance shows up as irritation with your own body, irritability with your partner, and the weight of, "Here we go again." When you fix the evening fluid surge, you send the opposite message: we're safe. We won't be dragged out of bed 3 times. We can rest. Over a few weeks, your nervous system updates its map. That one shift supports hormone balance, glucose regulation, mood, and the motivation to keep up with movement and strength training. Everything you care about for aging well benefits from better sleep. Let's set a simple plan for the next 4 weeks, so you don't negotiate with yourself at 9 p.m. Week 1 is awareness and front-loading. Put a glass of water next to your toothbrush and drink it on waking. Put a second glass at your breakfast table. Drink a third with or just after lunch. In the afternoon, sip if you're thirsty, but no large glasses. 2 to 3 hours before bed, taper hard. If you reach for the bottle reflexively, replace the action with a different soothing cue. Gentle neck stretches, 5 slow breaths, or a short walk in the hallway. You're not depriving yourself, you're reteaching the system. Week 2 is nervous system training. Add 5 minutes of relaxed belly breathing in the evening. Sit or lie down, place a hand on your abdomen, and let the belly rise on the inhale and fall on the exhale. If you want a pattern, try 4 counts in and 6 counts out. This long exhale tells your pelvic floor and bladder: stand down, Keep your taper. If you feel thirsty, moisten your mouth with a small sip and carry on. Week 3 is posture and sitting hygiene. The way you sit all day influences the tone in your pelvic floor at night. Adjust your chair so your hips are slightly higher than your knees. Sit on your sit bones, not your tailbone. Every 45 to 60 minutes, stand for 2 minutes and do a slow hip circle pattern, 5 circles each way. This reduces pressure on the pelvic outlet. Keep the breathing, keep the taper. Week 4 is evaluation and refinement. Choose 2 indicators to track: number of nighttime awakenings and ease of initiating the stream before bed or on waking. Look at your simple notes. Are awakenings down by 1 on most nights? Is your pre-bed urgency quieter? If yes, stay the course. If not yet, strengthen the taper and double-check caffeine timing. Coffee, tea, and even chocolate late in the day can irritate the bladder in some men. Move them earlier or reduce them. The system responds to kindness plus consistency. While we're refining, let's clean up a few adjacent healthy choices that can backfire at night. Many men add a large salad or a big bowl of soup for dinner because it feels light and clean. It is light on fat, yes, but it can be heavy on late fluids. Keep salads and soups as a win at lunch. In the evening, choose a modest plate with protein, cooked vegetables, and a small portion of starch. Then stop fluids 90 to 120 minutes later, even sooner if your bedtime is early. Alcohol deserves a mention as well. A nightcap can feel relaxing, but alcohol is both a diuretic and a sleep disruptor. If you enjoy a drink, have it earlier in the evening and keep it moderate. Your bladder and your sleep will thank you. What about exercise? Sometimes the very men most committed to their health choose long evening cardio as their only available slot. Movement is wonderful, but intense evening workouts can leave your system revved up, increase late thirst, and push you toward the exact habit we're correcting. If evening is your only window, shorten the session, reduce the intensity, and finish at least 2 hours before bed. Then use a rinse and spit routine if your mouth feels dry, but avoid big gulps. On days when you can, shift most of your movement earlier. Even a 20-minute midday walk counts. Let's address fear, because fear creeps in around prostate health. You might think, if I cut fluids late, will I risk dehydration? Dehydration is not a nighttime taper problem when you've front-loaded intelligently. You are not drinking less overall, you are drinking earlier and smarter. Another fear. If I don't drink at night, I'll wake up with a dry mouth. You might the first few nights if your body is used to constant sipping. That resolves as you adjust your breathing and your room environment. Use a small sip if needed. The key word is small. Your goal is to teach the body to trust that it will be cared for in the morning. I want to share 3 short stories because men learn well from other men. James was 72, the kindest grandfather you could imagine, and a believer in water at all hours. He went to bed with a full bottle and a hopeful heart. He woke twice, sometimes 3 times. We shifted his fluids up by 6 hours and gave him a confident taper. 2 weeks later, he still woke once, but he fell back asleep in minutes, and his afternoon energy returned. He didn't change his supplements. He changed his timing. Eduardo was 66, a late-night reader with a mug habit. He loved herbal tea at 9:30 p.m. We moved the tea to 7 p.m., halved the volume, and asked him to read with a warm compress on his lower belly for comfort instead of sipping. It felt odd for 3 days. Then it felt brilliant. He kept his ritual. He just removed the fluid load from the slot that hurt him. Mark was 59, still working long days, and he used the evening to catch up on hydration he ignored at work. He front-loaded 2 glasses in the first 90 minutes every morning and set a small reminder to drink with lunch. The evening bottle stopped living on his nightstand. After a month, he said something I hear often. My body isn't yelling at me at bedtime anymore. It's quiet. You might be wondering about supplements and foods that support the same goal. Keep it simple. Focus first on timing. If you enjoy foods that gently support circulation and pelvic comfort, berries, leafy greens at lunch, a portion of watermelon earlier in the day, use them as part of your overall pattern, not as a night hack. Consider magnesium with your clinician's guidance if muscle tension is part of your picture, and place your fiber earlier so your bowels stay regular without rushing fluids late. A calm gut supports a calm bladder. Pressure in one compartment often translates to agitation in the other. Now let's zoom in on the experience right before bed, because this is where your habit either wins or wobbles. 10 minutes before lights out, do this. Sit at the edge of your bed, place your feet flat, and imagine your pelvis as a bowl. On the inhale, let the bowl tip forward a few degrees as your belly softens. On the exhale, let it tip back a few degrees as your lower back lengthens. 5 slow repetitions. Then place one hand on your belly, one on your chest, and breathe in a 4-in, 6-out rhythm for 2 minutes. Finally, tell yourself one sentence, out loud if you like. I've given my body what it needs. Now it can rest. This is not a mantra for aesthetics. It's a message to your nervous system. The bladder listens. If you do wake at night, keep the tone calm and your eyes away from bright light. Stand slowly, move deliberately, and let the stream start without pushing. Afterward, return to bed and exhale longer than you inhale for 2 minutes. Don't judge the awakening. You're rewiring a rhythm, not chasing perfection. Many men succeed with a simple rule: no full debrief at 3 a.m., save reflection for daylight, and simply restart the breath. Another question I hear is whether this advice changes if your daytime job keeps you from drinking much water. The answer is that it matters even more. If your schedule is tight, build hydration into the pockets you do control. Upon waking, mid-morning, with lunch, and early afternoon. Keep a small bottle visible in the places you stand daily. Associating water with existing habits makes it nearly effortless. Then honor the taper. Even if your average intake is lower than ideal, your nights will improve when you stop pouring fluids into the system at the exact hour your kidneys are least able to manage them without waking you. Let's say you carry this plan for 4 weeks and your nights are still interrupted more than you want. First, notice progress honestly. Are you falling back asleep faster, or is your evening urgency less dramatic? Those wins count. Second, refine inputs that irritate the bladder: caffeine, alcohol, carbonated drinks, and very acidic foods late. Move them earlier or reduce them. Third, examine your sitting. If your hips and lower back are tight, your pelvic floor often mirrors that tension. Gentle hip mobility, short walks, and standing breaks do more than any single supplement. If you've stacked these steps and still struggle, that is your cue to have a thoughtful conversation with your clinician to rule out other contributors. Your work on timing will still make any plan more effective. There is one more layer to this that matters for men's confidence. When your nights are calm, mornings change. A good night of sleep supports testosterone rhythm, insulin sensitivity, and mental clarity. Your workouts feel stronger, your patience lasts longer, and your presence with the people you love is warmer. That's why I call evening tapering a longevity skill. It doesn't just reduce bathroom trips. It multiplies the benefits across your whole day. I want to leave you with a single sentence that sums up the core lesson so you can remember it when the evening glass calls your name. The healthiest hydration is not only how much you drink, but when. For men over 50, moving fluids earlier and tapering in the evening is the quiet fix that protects your prostate comfort, your bladder calm, and your sleep. Do this right, and you'll feel the difference in 7 days. Then you'll own the difference in 4 weeks. If this message helped you connect the dots, choose one step to start tonight. Put the big bottle back in the kitchen. Front-load your morning with a tall glass. Give your evening to calm breath, not constant sipping. And then notice what improves first: urgency before bed, the number of awakenings, or the ease of starting the stream. Share this with a friend who keeps a giant water bottle on his nightstand and complains about his nights. Remind him that he's not broken. His timing is. When timing changes, the body cooperates. When the body cooperates, confidence returns. And when confidence returns, life in midlife feels like it should: steady, capable, and yours again.